Welcome back, everybody, to Ultimate CNFT. Mike, aka Mr. Ultimate, here with you today, and we've got a special guest. This is Danny. You all know him. He's been on my channel several times before. This is the founder / co-founder of the great KWIC. We've got a lot of stuff to introduce to you because this project is continuing to push forward, to push boundaries, and we've got a mint coming up. Oh yeah, we've got some information for you. Let's get into it right now. Danny, how you doing, brother?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks again for get to hang out with you. I know that was just speaking just off camera that I just flew in from Europe after a 24-hour flight 3 hours ago. So I've had a quick little nap, and then it's 3:22 a.m. here in Sydney, and I'm ready to go.
You're always ready to go, man. I'll tell you what. I mean, you know, when you do that much traveling and you're coming in here and I didn't even know that you had gotten a nap. And my question for you was, when are you going to get some sleep? Because I know you got all kinds of snapshot stuff that have taken place and everything. And, but you know, that's what we do here in this space. This is why, you know, you and I have such a great friendship now at this point. It's been a long time, you know, founders that are building, founders that are pushing forward, founders that, you know what, if we got to sacrifice some sleep, we sacrifice some sleep because we love what we do. And you're definitely at the top of that list. Everybody knows where I stand personally with your project and how much support I have for you guys. And I'm very excited about what's coming up for KWIC because, by the way, for those of you who are just now maybe seeing this for the first time, scroll through some of the videos. You're going to see plenty of KWIC all over Ultimate CNFT. Go check out some of those previous interviews and find out where we've come, where we are, and where we're going. And right now, we're going to get to the where we are and where we're going segment of what's going on with KWIC because these people never stop. You're pushing the boundaries, and I love what you're doing. So tell us, bro, since the last time we talked on camera, because we talk off camera all the time, but since the last time we talked off camera, tell us where we're at right about here at this point today and what's coming forward.
Yeah, definitely. Look, thank you. And obviously a massive founder. I've been a big fan for a long time now. I actually can say years now, which is wild to think.
Right. Plural, for sure.
And look, I know we have lots of conversations about lots of really, really interesting, cool things. I know that we're both big supporters of Cardano, and anytime anything comes up in the space that we obviously want to let each other know that we get each other into lots of different conversations. And thank you for that introduction with that event in Dubai, which is actually going live literally right now, where there's a Cardano booth and being set up there, and obviously we've been able to be represented as a brand. I know that you've obviously done exactly the same thing, but that was also great for the Cardano space. So
I agree.
And that's a shout out to you for like keep introducing people within Cardano to each other so we can all help each other grow.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, as Ultimate CNFT, I always take that approach. You know, I started as a YouTuber making the content and, you know, making the relationships and having all those projects start to tie in together, and you start to see who's separating itself. You know, I call it, oh yeah, the cream rising to the top, right? You know, we've got different levels of people who are engaging in their communities and building their projects. And when that came across my lap, it was a no-brainer. You know, I threw you into a chat with several other founders that I thought would be a good fit for that. And, you know, you were one of the first to respond. I mean, actually, you were the first to respond. You guys were on it from like the second I introduced it. You saw the vision and understood, hey, you know, Cardano itself is always growing and always getting bigger. Yeah. And we're all just parts of a whole, right? And the better we do and the more we have together, you know, the better we ascend for Cardano. So shout out to you for heeding the call, brother. I just make the connections and leave it up to everybody else to do their job. And that's what we do, man. But, you know, you guys, KWIC, you're really starting to separate from the pack. I said early on that I see this as a blue chip project. Not just because of, you know, market price or market action and stuff like that, but actually what's being developed, you know, beyond the art now. You guys have stepped into a world where you're creating some things that are ready to integrate other projects within it itself. So again, some parts of the whole. KWIC, you've got this. Okay, so you got your first print that came out, you know, the 8888. this was a while back, was a great success. You guys have achieved so much since then, but now you're opening the door for what's coming up next. You want to tell us a little about what you're building?
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, I guess probably I'll do a very quick overview for any of the newer people that are just sort of tuning in the very first time. But if you think about our project, there's two parts, right? It's the keyboard warrior, which is the very first part of the KW, and then the IC, which is the internet cafe. And I think our mentality was always build the keyboard warrior off a strong IP. We're fortunate enough to have a pretty incredible mainstream artist who has his own art gallery. He painted a keyboard warrior inside a Converse store early on, and he's done these incredible collaborations with some of the biggest brands globally, like Adidas and Disney, and you can just keep naming the list. So the initial collection and the inspiration was all based around nostalgia, all the things that we grew up with in those 80s, 90s. So building 700 traits and putting these into like that initial PFP collection was building that unique sort of IP. It was the foundation of everything that we wanted to create from an IP standpoint. Then if you flip back to the internet cafe, it was going to be everything that we wanted to do from a gaming part was either building our sort of unique IP inside other metaverses, build our own sort of ecosystem, our own game, to then be able to show people and plug a different level of experience. Because I always believed, and our team has always believed, that NFTs was never just going to be this stagnant PFP picture. It was always going to be interactive. It was always going to evolve and change. And I think the idea we've always had was, how do we bring our NFTs to life, and how can we turn this PFP into this thing that you can represent yourself as, and you can play it inside a game, and you can upgrade and update it. So that was our IP, I guess our project as a nutshell. And if you think about what we've done recently, and would have been about 4 weeks ago, we've just done a massive rebrand. And if you look at the rebrand we've done, is that we've got this very clean logo, going back to like this real clean logo. And you think, well, like why have we focused on having, look, I guess our brand, if you look at our initial logo, was this real fun, colorful logo, but it represented an NFT project. And I think we've probably come so far that it's not probably just an NFT project now. Like if you think about, we've now got our token. We now have our own KWIC launcher, which is where games can plug into our ecosystem. We have our own game, KWICverse. And we've got all these different aspects that we're building and growing that just didn't really quite make sense to just have it all under the Keyboard Warrior Internet Cafe umbrella. It's just like, well, we wanted to have this clean, KWIC logo to be able to help make sense of what we're trying to do, because underneath that, there's like 5 or 6 different individual IP or brands that we're building underneath that KWIC logo. So yeah, like it's been pretty exciting. It's been a massive year. It's been a massive learning curve for us. I know that everyone sort of said, what has it been like? When it hasn't been a bear market. I was like, to be honest with you, we minted a bear market. We're still in a bear market. We don't know any different than what it looked like when grasses were, I guess the market was in a very different condition. So we've only ever known one market condition. So I think
that's a good point.
And look, I think and the way that our mentality has always been, it's always been like, we, and I really appreciate you saying that you see us as a blue chip project. It's always been on the back of our mind. We've always wanted to have that ambition to be a blue chip project. I think we did say at early 2023 is that this will be the year of KWIC. And I think we're probably at the point now where like a lot of the things that we've released over the last 6 weeks to 8 weeks, I think people are starting to go, oh wow, like there's so much tech that we've built, because it's not just about like the avatars and all the cool stuff about the game that we've built, but it's the tech that we've built that is allowing other gaming projects to plug in and utilize. I think that is quite special, which I'll go into a bit more detail. I know I'm being pretty elusive, but then I think by the end of this year, and thinking about like where the whole idea of what we've been trying to create and what we've been trying to build, we've got to be able to really have that in and have that ecosystem fully running. So really appreciate your sentiments. I think that has always been our ambition. And I think that with the things that we've done the last 8 weeks and where after this next mint and then what we've got planned for the next 4 to 8 weeks, I think that there's going to be a lot of things happening, and I feel that that conversation, what you just mentioned, will start happening more and more frequently, which
I agree with that. And you know, I said this early on. In fact, I remember making a video last year heading into this year being like 2023 is going to be the year of KWIC. You know, and actually what you're going to be building coming up with this next year is going to even blow doors on what you've done this year. And you know, the word blue chip can be tossed around sometimes, but like I said, there's a lot that goes into that. This bear market that we're in, it's shaking out a lot of the weak hands, right? A lot of the weak projects. You're starting to see even some of the, unfortunately, some bigger projects that people never even thought about, you know, not having what it takes to have the longevity. There's only a certain amount of projects that I believe have longevity. And one of the main factors and ingredients of that is, are you constantly moving forward? Are you constantly pushing forward? Or are you sitting back on what you've done? You're like, that's it for us, you know? And that to me is, you look at those projects, you know, you're, like I said, you're at the top of my personal list of those projects who are pushing forward and pushing boundaries. You know, you alluded to a couple of things about how you're building a gaming center. And I can't wait for you to go into those details, because we're talking off camera and I'm like, that's exciting for a founder like myself, you know, with the stuff that we're building and looking at some of the other things that other people are building, you know, and the introduction I made between you and Martin, you know, from Inmates, and seeing all the things that you guys have done together. And it's amazing to see people encompass the whole space. And take their projects and say, hey, this is a place where basically everybody who's here to continue building and pushing the boundaries can come in here and grow together. And I'll let you speak more on that yourself. But I do see you guys as continually climbing that rank. And before you know it, you're going to see some top 10, maybe some top 5 potential coming in there, and continuing to build forward from there, because the work never stops. We're going to talk a little bit later in the show about SIP 68, because I'm sure when you first were creating all this, you know, that wasn't even there yet. And now, you know, the doors are continually being opened for to continue to push those boundaries, opening the door for people like you who have inventive minds to be like, we can take this and now do this with it. So, you know, we'll lead into that. But I do, for those people who are watching and seeing this video, or maybe my channel for the first time, your mint that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the minting opportunity for people, because some people are already sitting on their whitelist spots. They're ready to go. And then some of them are going to have to shoot for that public. But if you don't mind sharing a little bit of details about how and when that's going to take place, and then we can start getting into the technical jargon here that you guys have built up and opening it up. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. All right. So I'm going to answer that question, but before I'm going to do that, I'm going to go through a few other points. And only the reason why is because, like, I've got a really good structure in my head, and I feel like if I jump forward, it's going to like ruin my flow. But I'm going to go back to the Avatar mint, which we're very, very excited by. It is revolutionary.
So am I. I think that's why I'm being selfish here. I'm so excited about it. I'm like, when do I get to mint these?
No, look, we're 7 days. We're 7 days out. It is going to change the way that NFTs are looked at and done on every blockchain. So, yeah, look, I definitely want to have a conversation around that. But I'm just going to go back one space and just talk about like a few things that we've done over the last sort of 8 weeks, just to give everyone a bit of an insight. And everyone, you know, probably who's been following our project knows that we minted November in 2022. And we're coming up to our year anniversary. Now, our mint was 55 ADA on a whitelist and 65 for the public. We only had a very, very small allocation for public. It sold out very quickly. As you can
because I tried to get some.
Okay, yeah. And look, and as you can appreciate, like, we didn't raise a lot of ADA. Like
this is true.
You know, like we haven't gone out there and raised a lot of ADA. And I think the conversation that we've always had is that the reason why we did such a low mint is because we wanted to be able to like have a story to tell. And the story was that we always wanted to be able to have a quick seller. We've always wanted to be able to have an OG collection, you know, be well above sort of that initial mint price, and that was always going to be that foundational piece of that story. So anyone that knows anything about gaming projects knows that those allocation of funds we spent many months ago, right? And if you think about what we've just done, literally when we introduced our KWIC token, which is going to be pretty key to our whole ecosystem, we're talking about like, we did a ninja sort of drop, right? Where we made the decision that we obviously knew that we needed a token, but we wanted to be able to also put quite a bit of token into the ecosystem, which we wouldn't put 5% of the token into the ecosystem because we want to try to combat inflation later on.
Right.
We made the decision to put 125,000 ADA into that LP pool, which you're talking about a project that minted nearly a year ago at 55 ADA that, that spent all their funds like building these games and whatnot, that has still invested 125,000 ADA for the LP pool because we are here for the long term. Like, we've got such big ambitions, and the funding piece has never been the blockade of us being able to do what we need to do. Like, I guess the people that don't know is that our background is that, I own multiple 7-figure companies. Jensen's background is managing very large projects for big multinational companies. And we've obviously got Jess Wright, who's an artist but also not just an artist, he has his own art gallery. He was just working with TikTok literally last week. Like,
right. He's got a brand. He's got a brand. Yeah.
He has a brand. Yeah. And, like we said from the get-go, is that way I always saw it is that we have the funds to be able to back our ambition to become that top 10 project. So for us to put in the 125,000 ADA into that LP pool, we did that that ninja drop where we didn't ask for any funds. We obviously just released the tokens with the LP pool, and we obviously then did the announcement, and then people that have been able to go on and if they want to get those allocations. And I think the reason why I'm bringing this up at the very starting point is I just want people to understand like our ambition and how we're thinking about where our project's going to go. Is, look, I know that we've come late to the party, right? Like, we didn't mint when the Clay Nations and the Ape Societies and all these big projects minted. Like, we were pretty late to the party. And when you're late to the party, unfortunately, you either need to pay with time or pay with funds. So we don't have the time to wait because I can't wait another 1 or 2 years. So we need to buy more time with funds. So we need to put more resources in to get more eyes and for people to be able to see what we've been able to do. So it's going to cost us a lot more money to become this blue chip project than probably other projects would have had to spend. But at the same time, like, that's our ambition, and this is what we're trying to create and what we're trying to do. So,
yeah, it's funny because I was talking about this the other day, because people look at what we're doing and as well. And, we came in self-funded. Johnny and I talked about with Risk, we're coming in self-funded. We're going to be able to complete this regardless of whatever may come or not come with a token sale or an NFT sale or whatever. And I was on Twitter talking with a few people. It's like, when you start to see a project come in with a goal, a long-term development, and they're already funded regardless of whatever funds they bring in through, that to me is already different than what you've seen for the most part. Yeah. You're seeing people come in, they're having to raise funds through the NFT sale or token sale or whatever. And unfortunately, because of this extended bear market, you're starting to see some of those projects die off. Even if they got the funds that they needed, you start opening doors, you start realizing how much it takes to actually build. You start looking at the price of ADA and what it actually comes out to in US dollars, which is what it usually most of the time costs to build things. And you're starting to see people run into these brick walls. You guys came in and were self-funded from the get-go. And you've always talked about that. And so here we are a year later, being able to say, hey, look, this is what we said we're going to do. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. And, a lot of this is coming out of pocket. You've talked several times about the team that you've built, the devs that you have on payroll. I mean, This is an expensive procedure here. And somebody who is not running out of funds and closing up doors and one day and go, hey, sorry, guys, we tried, we failed. We're starting to see some projects that's why I say you guys are heading towards that direction of climbing that ladder, because there's no obstacles in your way. Like you said, even time, which sometimes, you say you're late to the party. I still think you're early to the party in some regards, because there's so we're barely, learning to crawl over here as a platform, Cardano. True. But, there's different ways of looking at it, but like you said, time is of the essence. And so what you guys have done in the course of a year is actually kind of astounding. And we're just getting to what I think is going to be the best part of it, to be honest with you. So, shout out to you guys for being able to come in and do that, because not everybody's willing to put their own funds on the line. It's everybody else's funds on the line. When you have your funds on the line, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, I agree. And you think completely different about what you're doing. And it's interesting because looking and just thinking about what you said is that I think what we initially spoke to everyone about when we very first went to Mint was like, hey, by the way, we've got this incredible PFPs and we're going to build these internet cafes inside other metaverses. That was our conversation. But what you got was this really cool PFP, but not only us building in other metaverses, we've got these collaborations with Clay Nation and Bosco Rocket Club, but we've actually gone out there and built our own game. And then we've actually gone out there and built our own launcher. So if you actually think for what we talked about versus what you delivered, I guess I would say that we've probably over delivered on our initial conversation. Like,
absolutely, 100%. You're being humble here. I'm coming at you from somebody who's seen this whole thing develop. I'm going, look, you have brought in way more, and that's why I was saying at the beginning of this interview, and if for people to go look at some of this other stuff, look at those yourselves. Go look at the proof. The proof's always in the pudding. Look at some of the stuff we talked about a year ago, and now look at where you're at now. And that's an absolute over-deliver product and conversation we're having here. And I don't have to be humble because it's not my project. I'm telling you right now, you guys have served up a big fat plate of over-delivery, in my opinion.
No, I appreciate that. And look, like I think probably that's going to probably lead on to probably the big thing that we've been working on, which is the KWIC launcher. And to give everyone a bit of an insight into like what a launcher is. And if you think back, like let's talk about Steam. So anyone that's into gaming, Steam would be a platform for games to be able to plug their game onto a Steam platform where you get the eyes of the marketing eyes of having the tens of thousands of people going onto Steam looking at games. I think the second part is that you get all the tech back end, all the plugins, the fiat on ramps to be able to you can sell your game up front, pre-sale before it even goes live. All those different parts. And I think the big thing for us is that the Steam is a great platform, but it's not Web3 friendly.
Right.
So I guess the challenge that we've had and looking at all the ins and outs of building this game, realizing the challenges anyone from a gaming point of view has to be able to bring their game to life. And I think as I said to someone just the other day someone sort of said to us, like, what's the difference between the PFP collection and the playable avatars? Like, well, it's a completely different collection. And the reason being is that, well, we had one artist go out there and build the PFP collection, but we've got a team of 4 that had to go out there and build the playable avatars. And that's what gaming is. And Elon Musk says it the best. He goes, the best engineers that he's hired all come from like a gaming background, because to be able to build and to get things moving and working, there's so many different parts to it, which sort of brings back to like, we've obviously hired a pretty big dev background, a dev team to go out there and build our own game. And we just sort of realized there was so many things that we had to go out there and create. Like we had to go out there and create our own server because we were building a game on Unity, and we realized, well, actually we couldn't really use the Unity service because any change that we made, we couldn't really see the back-end code. So we had to build our own server. We had issues with getting fiat on-ramps like into our game. So, we built that, going out there and looking at getting sort of even just gating your NFTs, that like all these things that are probably multiplayer, like looking at all the different things that like you would need to build first to then be able to then go out there and bring it out to the public. And like we've had a dev team for a year going out there building all this infrastructure. But what we found is that there's so many people that could benefit from the infrastructure and getting more eyes on their projects, but there was no place for a game to be able to go on. I think the big issue is with most gaming is that, number one, people want to have a safe gaming experience, number one. And the second part is that it's quite hard to update games if you're trying to build this really big game, right? So for example, our game would be too big to have on a website, purely on a website, right? Like,
sure,
you could have it on a website, but you would still need to download the files somewhere.
Right.
And then what most gaming projects do is that they go, okay, you download this file, and then it's on your computer. There's a file there. You don't really know what's in it. Could be malicious, might not be.
Nah, sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is. And then the second part is that if that project has an update, they'll need to let everyone know. They'll then need to go, by the way, delete that old game, re-download this game. And these are all things going like, like, how are we supposed to build this
right,
this AAA game when like all these files are coming, people are going to be unsure. So we obviously then made the decision to go out there and build this quick launcher. And what the quick launcher was designed to do was be able to have a safe place for gaming projects to be able to have a place to go out there and have their game. And you can do updates to your game. You can patch bugs. Obviously, it has the marketing component to it where anyone who's going onto the platform to play a game can then see other people's games at the same time. And making it Web3 friendly where people can do Web3 functionality and not getting blocked by these big brands, like a Steam as an example, may not want to have all the Web3 functionalities available. So
right.
We saw this as a great chance for us to be able to really get the gaming mindset on Cardano, but also blockchain, because it's not just Cardano. Like, we're starting Cardano, but any gaming project could, from Web2 or Web3, could plug into this. But I think we're taking advantage of the technology that we have, and I think Speedthrone, which is one of our gaming partners on the quick launcher right now, and they're a 20-year veteran of gaming projects based out of Sweden. They've got their own game house, and it's interesting when our launch went live, and they were one of the initial partners on that quick launcher. They saw a bug on it, and they go, "Hey, are you able to update this bug?" And we were able to update the game, and the only thing that would have happened for anyone that was going onto the game, it just would have said, click on, when you went back onto the game, it would have said update game. There's no delay in that game experience. When before they did that, they would have told everyone to delete the file, re-download this file. So
you're saying through your game center that you've built, you have the ability to do all of that?
Correct.
That's incredible. I don't think people understand yet.
No.
What that means.
Not at all. Like, it's
I do, because I'm building a game. I'm helping develop a game myself, and I understand things now that I would have never understood 3-4 months ago. To me, that's like, wow, huge.
It is massive, right? Like,
yes,
and the infrastructure that you need to build and have ready to be able to do something like that, like this, just helps someone be able to bring a really cool game into an ecosystem without having like a very heavy dev background to be able to pull this stuff together, to build a launcher, which building a launcher in itself, like it's
I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't. There's no way. Like, technically, that's just way past my pay grade. It's to me, it's redefining a launcher, because you think about Launchpad, you're launching other projects, or you're launching this, that, or whatever. You're talking about what this space needs and has always been heading towards, and it's gaming. Gaming is what's going to, I think, take all of NFTs to the next level. In other words, just the NFTs themselves and the power behind them, and the technology with integrating them into games. Gaming is such a huge industry. It's massive. And that's going to open up doors, I think, for it. The whole problem of the solution we're trying to get is onboarding people into Web3 and getting them to come and see and understand the experience and there's projects that are pushing that, forward. And are people who are just kind of sitting down going, it's never going to work because we're never going to be able to onboard people. I disagree. I think that, everybody working together to get people into the user experience is the whole point of opening up those doors in the first place, right?
100%. And that's the key part, right? It's the user experience. And Sega, the Sega CEO said it recently. He goes, well, Web3 gaming is just boring. And he really just sort of like hit the nail on the head. He goes, why these gaming brands have done so well? They've created this really fun, unique IP. Sega has also just released that there's a few of their lines that will be Web3 available. So some of their brands they've got under the umbrella will be there'll be Web3 aspects to it. But it's only a matter of time with Web3 gaming to catch up and to make it fun. Doesn't have to be everyone focus on trying to find ways of making money. Just make a fun game, make the user experience great, and people will come. And we know,
I agree.
We know the power of NFTs, and I think as most people will catch on, you think in the next 10 to 15 years, why would you go play a game that you cannot own the avatar? It just it makes sense that you to be able to control that avatar to do what you want with it, which is sell, upgrade, if it's to trade, and that just makes sense. I think there will be an element of that will come and be more apparent as over the next 20 years. It just makes so much sense.
Oh, I completely agree. I think once you open up that door and you make it, mass adoption starts to come in. There's no going back from that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't somebody want to own their own efforts? Essentially, at the end of the day, it's ownership. I think that some of the big gaming companies are going to be coming to Web3 to find out how to integrate some of those aspects into their stuff. It's like, 100%. Well, we've already got a system created where you can come over here and you can start building on Web3 now. It's already there. The ground's already there. Just come in and make it happen, right?
Definitely. And look, it makes sense on some of the nervousness parts. It's like obviously these Web2 big game giants are nervous about certain parts to it, but there's a very easy way to make a Web3 game and still be and keep it within regulation. And there's lots of different things that we're doing as well, which within our game, and we've really thought about our game and how that's going to work within those regulations. And I'll go through that the next part. But I want to go back to the launcher and giving. Obviously, I've done the initial sort of spill on it. Not all games need a launcher, obviously. There's going to be some web-based games that might not have a huge amount of functionality, that might not need all the ins and outs of what a launcher has. But if you still want to get the eyes of the launcher, then still plug it on there, because you might have a web-based game that might be very simple. But if you're a gaming project, get onto the KWIC launcher, because we want all gaming community to be able to see what people are doing. And at the moment, we've got 6 live games on the launcher right now. And if I go through those games and what's on there currently, is that we've got the KWIC, which is our game, which is the MMORPG, massive multiplayer online role-playing game, where we say that Web2 beats Web3, where there's going to be aspects of, there's a big social part of it, but there's going to be missions, there's going to be so many different gamified parts to that. You're going to be able to play to own in there. There's going to be play to earn aspects. But
that's awesome.
The big part for us is it's making it fun, making it engaging. We've actually got a game inside a game. So we have this area in our part where we are going to have games plugged into our game. So we call that arcade.
Okay.
So there's lots of different parts to our ecosystem, but it's our MMORPG game is the first game that's on the launcher. The second game that we have on there is the Mogokong's Island, where they are going to be, you obviously be able to be in Mogokong. You can run around the island. We haven't done the announcement yet, but that announcement will be coming. They've just hired us to then do another update to that game too. So there's going to be some things that come with that. There's a bit of alpha for anyone's dropping, but they are going to do an upgrade to that game, which is going to be pretty cool, pretty fun. So that's the second game on it. The third game is the island, which is the ADA inmates, and probably the big part. And obviously we've got the introduction from yourself on that space with Martin a long time ago. And I know that this wasn't on his roadmap, but he's obviously got the funds himself to be able to go out there and create his own experience, and wanted to be able to have the life of an inmate to be able to engage and to see what that life could look like. So we're obviously in conversations with them about the next phase of that, because he's got some pretty big ambitions, but that's a game that's on there. We've also got Future Fest, which again, they're a all-in-one digital events platform that builds and shares experiences inside the metaverse. They run live events, and they're a pretty incredible team. OG sort of Cardano team. So they're on our launcher as well. We have Speed Throne, the team that I talked about just recently. They've got a free-to-play Web3 experience race game, which is, you can play this on multiple blockchains. So that's obviously already on here. They've got a 20-year experience in building games. They're a Swedish gaming house.
Oh, I love those guys. I've interviewed them a couple of times and done some product on them. I actually have high hopes for that game.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. They're
very familiar with them. Yeah.
Very stacked team. And we have just announced Eternals onto our platform as well.
No kidding.
Yeah. So they've got this open world fantasy.
Right. I like them. I like them a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very good team. I know that when we put our proposal in for Claymates, they also did a proposal in their Claymates part, and we won one with with Internet Cafe, and they won one with their their little game as well. So they obviously both won Pitch Your Pitch, but they won one category, we won the other. So it's great to be able to figure out like what ins and outs of what they've been up to. So that's 6 games right now. I know that we've in conversations with 3 other games that will come live on our platform over the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks. So there's 3 more games that will go live very, very shortly. We're just onboarding and whatnot. But I think for us, it's like we want people to, and especially people on Cardano right now, to go and download the quicklauncher.io to start seeing what these other gaming projects are doing, because people are doing some really incredible stuff. And I think, and also just be able to appreciate the technology that we've been able to build for these other gaming projects, be able to plug in and give them fiat on ramps and all this different other technology that comes with it, to be able to help them grow and scale their games and focus on what they're good at, which is most people are good at building their own IP and focusing on creating this really cool experience within their own game. So that's awesome, man. That's the quick launcher in a nutshell, and the different games and the different people that we've been obviously partnering with, and really excited to get that part live. I think the second part, well, not the second part, but what we've done, and there's been some updates with our quick first game. So I know that we only had one section open, which was when we before we even went to Mint, you can have one character and you can walk around the outside of the Internet Cafe. That was the first part of our beta game. The second part is that when we opened up the roadmap station, you could go in to underneath the Internet Cafe and go into the roadmap station, which is basically an underground train station, to see phase 1 and phase 2. It was like a virtual roadmap. So you can still go into it now and actually see what our roadmap looks like. Then the third part for us is that we opened up the main part of the game. So we opened up it's called Quick Junction, which is the middle part of the game, which is where the Internet Cafe is. You can go into the Internet Cafe and start seeing what's happening inside the Internet Cafe. We've also we've got 5 free-to-play avatars. So we've got like 5 avatars that all come under that Quick umbrella, which has got Cache, you've got T69, you've got Cassin, you've got Bitmap, who are the 4 sort of friends. They're all free-to-play avatars. Plus, we've got like the initial bitmap that we built for that initial opening up of the Internet Cafe before Mint. We obviously still want him to be a free-to-play character. We've also introduced 2 other free-to-play characters inside our game. So you can obviously go on and go inside the quickverse.io. You can also be those 5 characters, but you could also play around with a Mogicon inside our game. You can also play around as an inmate, an ADA inmate inside our game.
Nice.
So we've already got these freedom. Well, I guess we've already got these other projects IP inside our Quick First game, because I think the way that we always looked at the Quick First game is that we wanted to be the social game. We sort of saw it as a Discord on steroids, but with the type of games you can play.
Yeah.
Well, you can actually play an actual arcade game inside our arcade game. You can play you can play a shooter game inside the Quick First.
Oh, wow.
So you can go to certain parts inside our game, and you can go get a quest, and then you follow these quests, and then you could also go to the forge inside our city, and I'll talk about what that most recent update. And the most recent update was what we call Club City. And Club City is where it's going to be the district where you can go out there and get your missions, other brands IP you're going to be able to plug in. We're going to be able to have the forge inside there, and the forge is where you're going to be able to go out there and create items. And we've already released, there was a secret room which had a whole bunch of hoverboards in there. So you can probably imagine that the forge is going to be where you can go out there and create your own hoverboard to go around and get across or get through Quickverse a lot quicker on a hoverboard than walking around, because as you can imagine, the Quickverse eventually it's going to be absolutely massive.
Right.
And I think the big part for us in Club City is that we want to be able to have the Ultimate Warrior have his own sort of place where he can have, and other projects can be able to go out there and have their own IP. We want to be able to, people that've got their own 3D characters, eventually getting them onboarded inside the Quickverse to be able to, they can be one of our characters, they can obviously be their own characters. So Club City is now live. That was the most recent update that we've done. We've also got the playground, which is just the multiplayer, which is area sort of built, which is more about just having a bit of fun and everyone to be able to see what that multiplayer part works. But the next bigger updates are going to be that multiplayer will get ran out across the whole game. Plus, we're about to introduce everyone to one of the newest areas, where that's going to be where the internet trolls and the antagonists are all living. So that's part of the game that's about to get opened up. So
nice.
we've got an environment builder that constantly just builds environments and then updates it and gets it live into the game. But I think the big part for us is with the Quickverse itself. That's going to be really critical for us, or critical for everyone to be able to, where you're going to be able to use the Quickcoin. The forge is going to be a big part. I just talked about one item, which is hoverboards, where you're going to need Quickcoin to be able to go out there, or the KWIC Token to be able to go out there and to buy hoverboards to be able to cruise around inside the game. If you think about what other items you could potentially forge, you can let your mind go crazy, but all the different things that you're going to need to be able to forge, items you'll be able to create with using KWIC Token to be able to go out there and go around. The other part is, I think about we're just done the big update for the Quickie Mart. So Styles is your stylist in the Quickie Mart. The Quickie Mart is going to be where you'll be able to get all your clothing and your weapons, and to be able to go out there and update and to put all your clothing and get your newest weapons and things all up to date. So that's been happening inside the Quickverse. But I think for us, it's about getting the environment ready for the playable avatar mint, where we finally get to go back to the playable avatar mint. And I know I touched on it a little bit early on, where if you think about the playable avatar, we had one person that created the initial PFP, but the playable avatar, it's quite a complex thing to build, because you need, if you think about our playable avatar, is that every single part of our playable avatar is upgradable. If you look at one head, some of our heads are made up to between 200 to 250 different pieces, because a head is broken down, so we can change every single little part of that head.
Wow.
They are very complex, but the reason why we've done it is because we wanted to be able to, one, be able to do 3D printing later on. We also want to be able to make every single part upgradable. We also want to make sure the whole part of the avatar is fully rigged and fully animated, so you can go out there and do everything that you need to do. You've got all those files all ready to go, because I know someone mentioned, why don't you not just go out there and use the PFP, the initial PFP, and turn that into an avatar and then plug it in? I was like, well, it's not as easy as that. And the other part as well as this is that if you look at our initial PFP collection, they were artist nostalgia inspired, but they're not IP that we'll be able to use in our inside a game.
Yeah.
So we've obviously got inspirations like, the Vader head as an example. That's not going to be an IP we're going to be able to create in our game. So we actually had to go out there and redesign the whole PFP collection, because if we want to go out there and build a playable avatar and make it our own IP, it has to be our own IP. So if you look at all the 15 heads now, all 15 heads, it's all our own IP, which is completely separated from anything, any nostalgia inspired base. We've used a lot of the initial ideas, but they're completely broken apart. So if you think about why this playable avatar mint is so different, is that it hasn't been done on any blockchain to be able to have a playable avatar that you'll be able to connect your wallet to a game and you'll be able to play it instantly. You're going to be able to upgrade the clothing instantly. You're going to be able to use those playable avatars for lots of different parts, and that part in itself just hasn't been done, which is why we're being so excited about building this whole ecosystem and allowing people to be able to have their own avatar or version of themselves that they can upgrade and to fully be able to customize, which the whole hashtag play to own and that conversation we had about building IP, being able to upgrade this stuff and create these avatars that you can then trade, you can keep, you can sell, you can do whatever you want with. I think that is that is pretty critical for us.
As far as I know, that hasn't taken place anywhere, at least in the Cardano ecosystem yet.
No, hasn't. I have not seen anything like this. Not to the level that we've done. From a very high level, yes, but not to all the different levels we're doing.
Right. And so can you tell me real quick, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of your timeline, but obviously this is a SIP68, product, because you can't do this on a regular, 25. And so those abilities to do that has got to play into, basically everything you're creating, whether it's marketplace, whether it's, the quickie. I don't know how much of the stuff is integrated with each other. Or even if they are able to share some of that stuff. But to me, that's fascinating, because the reason I interject here is because I saw you guys as coming in, building this, and this is going to be, I think, a catalyst. People are going to look back at this, and they're going to see a catalyst moment where people start to realize what you can actually do with what we have now, which we didn't have a year ago. I'm excited about that because I'm looking into these things myself. And so as a topic of conversation, that's fascinating to me, because we're looking at things that haven't been done yet. And I like to see those things happen in this space, because that's how you start to really push forward in a way that you just couldn't do before. Yeah.
So SIP68 for us was going to be a pretty key part for our moving our project forward. And there's a couple of different reasons why. I think the very first part we've actually done our token, minted our token on SIP68. And the reason being is because it allows you to do what Ethereum projects are doing with their token. And that's a whole different conversation. But there's a lot of things that you can do with your token now where it has an actual burning component, where it every single time you burn it, it reduces everywhere, right? It's not just when you send it to a dead wallet. There's an actual burning part to it. We can lock that token and do multiple transactions at once, where right now with the smart contract on the initial blockchain, you can only do one transaction at any one time. This allows you to do 4 things or 5 things all at the same transaction, which is pretty incredible. It's pretty important for what we're doing inside our game. But I think with the mint part for us, and the reason why we did it on SIP68 is that you obviously then got to be able to mint your KWIC playable avatar. You're going to then be able to connect your avatar to our game, KWICverse. You'll be able to then play that avatar. You're then going to be able to go to the KWIC mart. There's going to be items and clothing you can just put on for free. And there's also going to be items that you'll be able to use your KWIC token to be able to purchase. There's going to be weapons that you're going to be able to purchase. There's going to be all these different things you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to completely load up and dress your keyboard warrior and how you want to do it. And then you get a choice if you want to then bake it onto the NFT. And once you then bake those items onto the NFT, then you will then have that will then show up with all the metadata and all the traits onto your NFT. So then if you have, let's say you have a super rare item and you then put it onto your NFT, and then I guess people's perception on that value would be different. And I think that is the cool thing about SIP68, and it's really allows people to be able to put different items onto the NFT, and then they can leave it on there. You can have it only on the game, or you can obviously then put it, there'll be a place where you can then update the metadata inside our game to be able to shows up as your avatar. And I think the other part with SIP68 is that our playable avatar mint is 6,000. It's a 6,000 collection, but it is a deflationary collection. What does that mean? So, I don't know if anyone's seen the animation. I have to say the animating team done an incredible job and showcased the HTML, which is the 16th faction, the first time we ever saw it. Basically, the animation is the HTML, which is a bit of a magical, ruthless killer take out a keyboard warrior's head in the animation. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
I've seen it. That's great.
Yeah, and so what that means is that our collection is now 6,000, but there's what we call a burning mechanism, which means that the SIP68 is actually a deflationary, also allows it to be deflationary. So we have a part where you need to sacrifice some playable avatars in order to summon the 16th faction. So and that will then take the collection from 6,000 to 5,250. Now, we've also got other characters that we want to introduce that will also have a similar burn mechanism as well. Now, this is a bit of an alpha part. There are rarer characters that we want to introduce, but we also want to make sure that that collection doesn't need to stay at 5,250. It could then go down to 4,000. It could go down to 3,500. So there's things that could be happening a little bit later on in the future, but there's going to be an amount that we wouldn't want to go past the collection. We want to keep the collection at a certain amount, but we want to have lots of fun with it. We want to be able to, in order to be able to sacrifice playable avatars, then create new game-ready avatars that they're going to be very limited in supply, which then people will be able to go out there and collect and have and own.
Right, and so that was something we couldn't do not that long ago.
Correct.
Now you've got something where there's a door open now to push a whole nother level of integration of the creativity that you can now use as a tool because of developing technology to be able to do these kinds of things, which really I still think is completely scratching the surface of everything that still is to come and how that's going to be good for Cardano as a whole. And now you're looking at you guys sort of in the front running. You talk about, you thought earlier in this interview, a little bit late to the game. I'm seeing now something that's early with the pushing of these technologies that you can look at this brick moment that's like, hey, this is where things started to change and other people started to look at this and go, well, wow, now the possibilities are virtually endless, really is what it comes down to. And we can now start to develop our projects in a whole different way. And again, I'm saying this speaking from myself as somebody who's just now starting to learn about these kinds of things and not even knowing how to build a game with all this technology that you can use now. You talked about being able to bake something on an NFT, but then being able to do it within the game in a different way. It's mind blowing what we're at the surface of unleashing. You know what I mean? It's exhausting, but at the same time, it's like, it's so exhilarating because the sky's the limit at this point. It really is.
No, 100%. And look, like, I think the big thing for us, and the big thing that we've always wanted to come in part, is that the ecosystem that we're creating, everything has a purpose. Nothing is done by accident. Like the KWIC token is going to then unlock the forge to then get extra items. The KWIC token, you're going to need to be able to also, with the summoning part, there's obviously raffles parts. You need the KWIC token to upgrade your NFT to be able to get clothing, get weapons. Like, the important part is the ecosystem needs to work, right? And if you make the ecosystem work from all facets, then you've got a living, breathing thing that like enables. Look, there's so many different endless possibilities.
Exactly, it's literally endless. And so I have a question for you now, bringing that up. So the KWIC token, you talked about, you minted that on SIP68, and it's actually burnable, like not just headed to a burn wallet, which is that's fine and everything, but you can actually burn this. Is your Quickie Mart, your Quickie-verse, all the burning of these, or the spending of these tokens, are there burn mechanisms built into that for deflationary value on those as well?
Yes, correct. And
right. I mean, I figured there was, but that's just, that to me is a whole nother level of even just token creation,
Yeah, for sure. So what would happen, it's quite interesting. So what would happen is that when you do something in that one transaction, a percentage would get burned, a percentage would go back to like recycling the token back into the ecosystem.
Right.
A percentage would then pay for the token to then go to a different part of the games or into the ecosystem. So you're going to find that there's going to be like 3 transactions that could be happening at any one time. So
I see.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. It hasn't, and you can't, SIP68 allows you to do that where you couldn't do that before.
Right. Yep.
So 7 days until the playable avatar mint. And I think like, we're actually probably a lot more nervous this time around than we were the very first time around. And I think the reason being is that the very first time around, there was no sort of real expectations. Like, it was literally just me, Jensen, Jess Rye, just 3 of us and the moderator team that were working on this. But I think this time around it's a bit different. It's because this playable avatar, like, we've had a team of 20 people putting this whole idea together. We've had a team of 4 3D artists and environment builders working on the avatar. And we've obviously put a lot of resources in place to put this together. So the nervousness part now is, for us, it's like, we've had to create a lot of technology. We've had to go out there and redo a lot of things in order for this to be able to even just work. Like, right. And I guess the nervousness part now is like, it's now, the reality is now here. Like, thinking that this was just an idea and something that we wanted to do to now, like, it's
to a reality.
All the playable avatars are ready. The metadata's there. Like, everything is there. It's, like, it's a pretty massive feat, and super appreciative of all the team and the people that support us to help us get us to where we are today. So, yeah.
Well, everybody who's in favor of building and making Cardano something special and set apart from all the other platforms that are out there. There's a lot of stuff you can do if you just want to be an NFT investor, but we're talking about creating gaming experiences. We're talking about creating things where now communities are coming together and building together to move forward, and that's what you guys are facilitating. So it goes beyond just an avatar mint. Is why we're here today to talk about these things on Ultimate CNFT, because we want people to have that kind of information to understand exactly what it is that's being developed. And you're a week out from your mints at this point. You guys are coming up. It's coming up in a week from now, right? I'm looking at my calendar in the background. It's all scribble scrabble. But yeah, I mean, I've got my bags ready to go. I'm minting me some avatars. You know, the idea of being able to burn and summon the 16th faction is exciting to me because I've been involved with KWIC since the beginning. Are we allowed to talk about some of these mint details yet?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. What do we got going on there, brother?
All right. So, as you're probably aware of, that we've just done the snapshot. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 parts to our mint. Number 1 is the holder's benefit. Number 2 is that if you have a whitelist, that's the benefit, and then the third part is the public. So if you're a holder, that snapshot was done literally about 4 hours ago, where you'll get every mint will be 30 US for those mints. If you have a whitelist allocation, those are 35 US, and then we'll go to public at 40 US. Mm-hmm. Now, we talk about the timings of it. So the holder and the whitelist mint is on the Thursday, the 28th of September, and that's at 10 o'clock UTC time. You will get a 24-hour window, so we obviously want to make sure that we're not rushing anyone to come in and mint. We know that we've got a global audience. And then the public will be Friday, the 29th of September, and that's 10 p.m. UTC. So it is going to be, there's 6,000 total supply. Again, in order to be able to unlock certain factions, we know that supply will be deflationary. From the 16th
Quick question
faction.
for you on the public. Is that going to be open-ended until mint out, or is there a window for that as well?
Yeah, we'll leave that until it's sold out.
Good. I love that. That's great. You know, you're seeing people do that now, you know, because we are still in a bear market. We're in a deep bear market, you know, and you're looking at, you know, the scope of how projects bring their stuff to mint has to adjust to market conditions. And so I'm actually very happy to hear that you guys are leaving that open because, you know, even if it does take time to mint the whole thing out, you know, you guys have a plan. You've got a set. You've got 6K of these. You know, they're going to be able to be burnt down. We're going to need to use all of these because eventually, as we always have to have the trajectory of accounting for future growth in this space. We're not staying where we're at. Cardano has not hit a plateau where it's not going to continue to grow. There are people coming in, you know, and there are people who are continuing to help bring people and onboard people. You know, your project's like it. I see a lot of other projects out there where their first entry into Cardano was because a certain project introduced them to the ecosystem. So you have to account for that. So leaving an open-ended mint is great. But obviously, you know, we're talking about a 10 USD discount from being a whitelister from holding, you know, the previous assets like myself to the whitelist that you've been giving away. That's another $5 bump. And then you're back to the public. So, I mean, in my suggestion, it's always about knowing, you know, all the information you possibly can, being ahead of the curve and being able to save that 10 USD. I mean, you know what I mean? So I've got my whitelist ready to go. And but you never know. I might get that itch and be like, oh, the public's there. Oh, let's go hit this, you know, while we can. So because at some point it's going to be all gone and everyone's going to be sitting on their avatars and getting ready for everything you guys are building.
Yeah, 100%. And look, like, we're quite excited. We do believe this is where NFTs will eventually go. We do believe this is the foundation of the future of what you can expect from NFTs. So, you know, we're quite excited to be able to finally get this IP out and people to have fun with it and upgrade and enjoy the experience.
Absolutely. So, you know, talking about someone for myself who really loves to integrate into communities, which unfortunately I have less and less time for, it seems. Yeah. I used to be bouncing around all these communities and I was always getting a feel, you know, for how people were heading into a mint and all this stuff. I haven't been able to do that lately because I've got my head, you know, working on what I'm doing and everything. What's the sentiment within your guys' community? And because you guys have a great community. Yeah. You have a very supportive community. People who understand what you're building are very into what you guys are doing. And I know that's a lot of those people are your voices. They're out there on Twitter. I see a lot of KWIC interaction in, you know, outside of your Discord community. But what's the sentiment, you know, heading into this mint and how are people feeling about, you know, the excitement building and getting ready to finally get their hands on some of these avatars?
Yeah, I think a lot of our community are probably at the point where they're going, they know what we've been building, and they can't wait for everyone else to be able to understand to the level of what we've been building, because it's like you said, it's so hard to put what we've been doing in a 5 minute
absolutely
or writing it down, because
or a
it's
Twitter
so
space
complex.
or whatever, yeah.
So this is great because we've been able to chat for a long time to actually go through in a lot more detail. And our community are so excited for people to be able to actually understand, even get a grasp onto what's happening. I think the second part is that everyone just can't wait to get their favorite factions and able to see what they're going to be like as an avatar and able to then upgrade them. I think a lot of people are also looking forward to we've been talking about the 16 faction for ages, but also people looking forward to be able to sacrifice a couple of their playable avatars to be able to summon a 16th faction. So everyone has a different thing they're really loving. I think like people are loving the idea of being able to, for the Forge, and getting future avatars. I know there's lots of clothing in the initial PFP collection we're going to roll out into the avatar. People are looking forward to be able to get some of their favorite clothing on their playable avatars. So yeah, like the sentiment is quite exciting. Like I know that we've had in the last sort of 6 weeks, we've had an extra 1,600 people join the Discord in that last on. Actually, I'm saying 6 weeks, probably in the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks.
No kidding. That's a huge amount of growth.
Yeah.
Regardless of market sentiment, bear, bull, whatever, that's a big amount of growth.
For a Discord where we'd already had thousands in our Discord and we already had quite a big following anyway. So to get that extra following has been massive. And I think a lot of people that probably didn't mint the first time around are now like, okay, like I've always wanted it in, and now this is a great chance for us to get in. Look, I know that all the holders snapshot is done, so there's no way to get any more. Like if you buy a KWIC NFT now, like that's not going to count towards being able to mint. But we do still have a few. We are basically at capacity for the whitelist allocation, but there are still a few there. You can still get a chance of winning a whitelist by interacting and getting in part of the Discord. There are still a few giveaways left on a couple of different project pages. So if you're only hearing this for the first time, we are 7 days out, but there are still whitelists available for people that are looking to get in. But,
get in there and check it out, because I mean, of course, as you know, I'm going to have all the links in the description box below. There is still time to get in there, and even if you haven't, like if you live under a rock, I'm just kidding. But if you haven't heard about KWIC, the project itself, get in there and check it out, because especially for new people who are coming into Cardano, that's always my goal. It always has been my goal. It always will be my goal. Featuring the best of what we have to offer in this space is, I feel like, my duty and my job. And so, you're hearing it now. You're still early into this project, and that's why you go out there, look at the socials, find out about the community yourself. I can ask questions all day, and he can tell us all day about what the community sentiment is like and what a great community they have. But until you become a part of that yourself, you're really just on the outside looking in. So, hit all those links, guys. I'm going to provide them in the description box below. Get on the Twitter. Go ahead and get in this website and start tooling around with all the kind of like the teasers that you guys have already out. I've checked out the art myself, all the sneak peeks you're releasing. Look, we're talking about something that's actual. There's a lot of quality being built into what you guys are doing, and you're paying for that quality, and you're paying good money for the development of that quality. And that's something that, I asked you a question about the sentiment of the community. We're all excited, and I can speak for myself because I'm one of those community members for a long time now. But I truly believe that people aren't going to really understand until they actually see it and use it and go, wow, this is not just something in my mind. I'm imagining how it's going to work. This is what we got here. And I think that's when a lot of the real excitement is going to kick in, and people are going to be like, I'm so glad I did not miss this boat, because like you said, a lot of people missed the first one. Well, here's your opportunity to not miss the next one. That's my personal take from Ultimate CNFT right here. This is why we're doing this interview right now. Get out there and take a look for yourself.
Nah, look, I appreciate that. Look, it is 4:30 a.m. now for me. I've had a 24-hour flight. As much as I'd love to keep talking to you,
you're a beast, brother. You are a beast. I mean, this has been about an hour and 10-minute interview. It's crazy how quick time goes by. But thank you for all you do. You're a good friend of mine. I appreciate you. This is like the third or fourth time you've been here, and we're going to continue to update and release information on all the development you're doing. From me to you, I'd like to personally thank you for just the hard work you're putting into this project and getting ready to push the envelope, introducing SIP68 into a new level of integration. Again, from someone like myself who's looking into these things deeply for my own interests, it's great to see and have people like you give this to us and have an example of the possibilities that we have that are continuing to come to this space for us. So you guys are kicking butt. Keep doing it. I'm excited for the mints. Maybe we'll do a little post-interview update as to how things have taken place. I would love to open up the channel for that for you guys at any time. You guys are doing it and you're doing it well. So congrats to you guys. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, Mike. Obviously, I'm a massive fan. It's great to, start doing this stuff with your friends, right? Like initially they're acquaintances and now they're friends, and it's like, it's great to be able to build alongside people that you really enjoy hanging out with. So appreciate you and appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Listen, I'm going to get this uploaded right now. For the rest of you who's been joining, thank you. If you made it this far into this interview, you are a true fan, a true supporter. Give those thumbs up, you guys. Leave some comments below. Jump into the Ultimate CNFT Discord. I've always got a lot of stuff going on there with all the people that I'm integrated with. KWIC is at the top of my list. I've said it before. I'll keep saying it. Thank you for all your support. Peace out and God bless.
Cheers.